Morning, everyone. I hope that you are all well. So today's learning is dedicated in memory of Chaim ben Menachem Mendel Carter, Menucha Bas Rosha Dov Ber Gomer, and Eliezer Lazaret ben Shimon Halevi Levi. Also for Schus, for Shlema, for Tehillah Sarah Bas Soshagila. We wish everyone well. So firstly, let me just say good morning to all those that are joining us, to Estelle, to Peter, to David, to Clarice, Richard, Mervyn, and Deborah. Good morning, good morning. I hope you are all keeping well. Let me ask you a question, okay? I hope we don't get too personal. How do you see yourselves? Mervyn, how do you see yourself? Are you followers or are you leaders? Or none of the above? How do we see ourselves in life? It's an interesting question. And it's a question that's asked of us every single day. And the answer is there isn't a single answer. It very much depends, doesn't it, on the circumstances and the environment in which we find ourselves. Arguably, we're meant to be both. A leader when we are required to lead, but a follower when we are required to follow. Ask yourself, was Churchill always a leader? Some would argue yes. Some would argue that he wasn't able to be a team player. But others would say that no, he was part of a team, but he rose to fame and took up, his leadership position when he was needed at the right time. In this week's parsha, we're all familiar with the story. Jewish people are on the run, left Egypt. 10 plagues have already happened. Egypt was brought to its knees, and then there's a change of heart by Pharaoh. They're going to chase after the Jewish people. They're going to bring them back as slaves. What happens next? What happens next is the Jewish people find themselves with their backs to the wall, not for the first time or last time in history. And the next thing was that they had the sea in front of them, the Egyptians behind them. Where do they run? There was nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. And God told Moshe, who was immersed in prayer, to stop praying. Now was not the time for prayer. Now was the time for action. He said, tell the Jewish people to move forwards, travel forwards, right? And the obvious question is, when you have the sea in front of you and somebody tells you, I want you now to jump into the sea, right? And just to keep moving forwards, is you become very English, don't you? You become very polite. Well, after you, Mervyn, you go first. Deborah, maybe you'd like to go first. I'm happy to wait my turn. It's interesting that when it comes to the Kiddush and it comes to the, jockeying for position in the queue and the line to get on the plane, there's no formalities and there's no, everyone's quite happy to jump forward and to take our places. But when it came to Kriyas Yamsuf and it came to taking our places in the line, there was no one willing to take that first epic leap of faith. And then all of a sudden, one person, Nachshon ben Aminadav, kept walking forwards. And he went forwards and forwards until the sea was literally up to his nostrils. And at that point in time, the sea split. Extraordinary. And it was as a result of one person taking that leap of faith, stepping forwards. Actions speak louder than words, if ever there was. This was the example that led and precipitated the splitting of the whole sea and the Jewish people walking through and the Egyptians eventually being drowned. Now, it's very difficult, isn't it? It's all well and good to say it in theory, but it's about putting it into practice. And, for much of our lives, we may find ourselves, many of us, in positions of, wanting to be part of a team, being followers. When do we know when it is time to become a leader? When's it time for us to put up our hands or to step forwards or to walk into the waves and the sea, the raging sea around us, right? When are we expected to swim against the currents of life? And the answer is There are times where there is no one else and where we have the capabilities. It's always easy to turn around and to say, I'm not, who am I? What am I? There's somebody else who'll do it. I don't need to do it. Somebody else will do it. But who knows if maybe this is your moment, your Nachshon bin Aminadab moment, the moment when you're meant to be a true leader. This is your moment in life when you are meant to make your mark. This is your legacy. Imagine if you miss it. Imagine if you turn the other way and ignore that opportunity. Forevermore, you'll have missed out on a great opportunity of life. I want to tell you a story, where this will conclude, about somebody called the Netziv. The Netziv became one of the greatest sages. He became the Rosh Yeshiva of the famed Volozhin Yeshiva. Anyways, it didn't all start off that way. He was a diligent student, but he wasn't in his parents' eyes pushing himself. They didn't see him as having the makings of a truly great sage, a great rabbi. And therefore he overheard his parents, having a conversation late at night that he wasn't meant to hear. And his parents were discussing about what to do with him. And they said, listen, he doesn't seem to be that interested in learning, maybe he should become a tailor. And they decided that he should be a tailor. And the Netziv, on hearing this, it was like a bolt of lightning. It was a wake-up call. The next day, he begged his parents, cried to his parents. He says, I'm now going to take my studies seriously. And he did. He immersed himself 110%, gave his all, day after day, hour after hour, staying up into the early hours of the morning, learning, and he became, as I already mentioned, one of the great sages. And he wrote some incredible books that we are still using to this day. And on completion of his magnum opus, he made a party, made a celebration, and he said this whole story about when he was a kid, about how it hadn't always been a smooth ride for him, how he almost didn't become that famed rabbi and dean of the great yeshiva of Volozhin. And he said to all those that were gathered, he said, imagine after 120, after I pass away from this world, I would have gone up to heavens, and the Almighty would have, as we all know, we face our ultimate judgment, would have said to me, right, where is your book? Where is your Emek HaShiltas? Where's your Emek HaDava? Where's your great students? And I would have said, I don't understand what you're talking about. Almighty, I'm a simple tailor. And the Almighty would have turned to me, said to the Netziv, and would have said to me, and listen to this, friends, would have said to me, that's not who you could have been. That's who you chose to be. Friends, it's so important. Precious insights, profound ideas we're hearing here. Listen to what's being said. That at this moment in time, he realized that he could be so much more. Had he not done so, had he not recognized, then ultimately he would have had a wide awakening, but it would have been too late. After 120, the Almighty would have said to him, I know what you were capable of. You didn't push yourself. You didn't achieve everything that you could. So for us, each and every one of us, in our own level, in our own way, we have to challenge ourselves day after day. It doesn't matter where we find ourselves. There are always opportunities to contribute to the greater good, opportunities to be leaders, each in our own way, but opportunities to make our mark in our community, our people, and this world. Wishing everyone well. Have a great day. We'll see you very soon. Take care.